Okay, we'll try to be quick here and show you how to set up this Lee Factory Crimp die. I'm going to be using, it's a collet die. If you see in there, that's the collet down in there. And you see those openings, that means the die is fully open right now, so it's not going to apply any crimp. So real quick, raise your ram up, and then just to set it up, just screw this thing down in there until it hits the shell plate. Now I'm doing bottleneck 223 right now, and this pretty much work for all 223. All right, so there it is on the shell plate. So we'll just lift this up and tighten that down in there a little bit. All right, so if you see in there, that's all opened. Right now I have an index mark here right now because I use this for like kind of bulk loading, and I want to make sure it's set up the same every time. So this index mark I line up with this one. But right now where it's at, if I push the ram all the way up, you see those crosshairs really don't move down there. That means it's not crimping anything, right? So if we go ahead and take a bullet or a cartridge, there's a cartridge right there. I blacked out the neck a little bit so you can see it. It's not squeezing anything right now, but let me show you what happens when I squeeze it. So now if I turn this down all the way, I'm going to squeeze it. Look at that. You see how they closed all the way up? So that's full crimp right there. Now I'm going to back it halfway, and this is where I crimp a lot of stuff too, is halfway. So there's halfway, if you could see the difference there. So it's still open a little bit. So that's halfway. So let's go ahead and crimp something real quick. So if I go ahead and put it on nothing, so we're going to take this one right here, and this is the bullet seated all the way down to the cantilever on this one, and I'll do one without cantilever as well. So that's with cantilever, with no squeeze being applied. Let's see what it did. If you look at it, it really didn't do anything to the neck, and this is what we're looking at, the neck of this brass right here. See if it does anything. So let's go ahead and squeeze it halfway. So I'm going to put it on my halfway index mark. So right there, and let's see if it does anything there. So we'll go ahead and make sure you get it all the way down. Some you'll feel it in the press, but all presses are different. Some you feel more than others. So if you look now, you really don't see a whole lot, do you? Now, I will say it is touching it, but you really can't see it so much yet. So let's go ahead and go full crimp on this thing and see what it looks like. So we all the way down. Make sure the handle goes all the way down. So now we went full crimp, and now look at that. You see that? Now you can see it. You see that? So that's a pretty good squeeze on that thing. There you go. You can see that line there. That's a good squeeze, guys. So that's full crimp. So we went nothing, it did nothing. Halfway, you couldn't really even see it, but it did touch it. And full crimp is there. Now, guys, if you just go there that much further, now if I keep cranking this down, I can squeeze it tighter and tighter, only to a certain point. But that's pretty much all you would ever want to go, is that much. I don't even like going that much. Like I said, I go to this halfway point, and this is where let me squeeze that back down. This is where I do most of mine. So if you look down in there and watch it close, you can see how it closes. So it's not closing a whole lot. I don't have it down all the way. It's not closing a whole lot. I'll show you again. So here's what one looks like without anything. And my halfway is where I do most of mine at. And you can see it didn't do anything. Now look, this is one that's not crimp or not seated all the way down. See, the cantilever's not in the neck. But I'm going to show you, if you look, you can see it barely does anything. But let's go ahead and tighten this one all the way down for full crimp and see what it does if your cantilever is not inside the casing. So let's go ahead and crimp it, make sure we get it all the way down there, and check it out. It still crimps it, guys. So people say you can't crimp stuff without the cantilever, but no, look, it still does it. Not as much, right? Because there's more resistance, obviously, but it still does crimp it, if you can see in there. Not a whole lot, but enough. Like I said, I crimp all kinds of stuff in gas guns now, and I just do this halfway index mark. So that's where I do mine right there. So it just squeezes halfway, and it does. I do setback tests, and it does do make a little bit of a difference. So yeah, that's it, guys. Pretty simple.